Hello, and welcome to the latest video interview. I'm Ben Crichlow, Product Marketing Manager. With me is Gary Crichlow, Senior Analyst and our Corporate Aviation Specialist. So Gary, you've just got back from EBACE. What was the mood like at the event?
Well, in terms of the mood, from just my quick visit to EBACE on the first day, the overall sense that I got was that basically the worst of the crisis is over, and that people are beginning to look for recovery. In terms of attendance, it seemed quite well attended even for the first day, which tends to be a little bit slower than the other days. And in terms of some of the exhibitors that I was speaking to, I got the sense that the people who were there, who were attending, were actually interested in doing deals as opposed to just looking. So that's a good sign as well. Like I said, it seems the mood is that the worst is over, that we're beginning to look for signs for that recovery. But I think everyone's quite cautious in terms of their expectations, at least in the short term, because there is a lot of volatility still in the market. It really does depend on what particular slice of the market that you're looking at in terms of large aircraft, small aircraft, new aircraft versus old aircraft, as to what the prognosis is in the short term for that particular market and how badly it's been hit due to the crisis.
And the question on everyone's mind, when are we going to see aircraft values recover?
Well, in terms of recovery, I think the picture is quite mixed depending on what segment of the business aircraft market that you're looking at. As I said earlier, there's still a lot of volatility that's endemic to the market, even though the worst is generally accepted to be over. If you're looking at, for example, older aircraft that are out of production, smaller sized aircraft, we think that there's still potential for values to continue to fall in those aircraft categories, because you have to remember that even though the worst is over, there are still lots of aircraft that are still available on the market that have been sitting on the market, and those are going to have to be reabsorbed into the system before we see value recovery, if any, in those sort of segments. At the top of the aircraft segment, larger sized aircraft, more range capable aircraft, and new aircraft, any aircraft type that fits those three criteria basically, we think have the best potential for upside in terms of value recovery in the near term. And indeed, we're already seeing signs for certain aircraft types that prices are firming, which is a good sign for those types of aircraft. But in general, I think it's important to keep in mind that values are very much driven by what's going on in the wider business jet market, and which is in turn driven by the wider economic situation. And so while on the global economic front, you see that the worst appears to be over, economically speaking, there's still lots of volatility, and recovery is still quite weak. There's still, particularly in Europe and the US markets where the biz jets are most established. So in terms of going forward, yes, there's a prognosis for recovery, but it's important to realize that significant volatility is still going to be a facet of this going forward, at least for the short to mid-term.
Thank you, Gary. Thanks so much for your insights, and thank you for joining us.